Welcome to Odor Always Moves, translating the complexity of odor movement down to the operational level. This is going to be a quick clip, and instead of a normal training video where we're focusing on specific principles, we're just going to look at the effects of wind on a row of cars and correlate that with a training video. So basically, I did training the other day, saw Dante doing some behaviors, looked at the wind, ran the model, and we're just going to kind of take a look at both of those and try to learn some lessons from those. And specifically, making sure that the dog's head, his nose, is going high or low, because if it doesn't, then he can totally miss the source. And as always, these are dedicated to my first mom dog, Daisy. And this is just for educational purposes, just sharing kind of my insights after a training session and correlating that with the CFD model. So hopefully it's something that you guys can learn from it and then apply it out to your training and operational use. So for this, we were just doing a training set. I had a long row of cars. It was actually about 30 cars. I'm not going to show you the whole video. We started at the downwind end and started just working our way up. And the video is going to start basically when he got into what I think was odor, because he stopped going in between cars and basically pulled me towards the source. And the wind is coming from the left end of the row, and it's about 6 miles per hour or 2.7 meters per second. So let's just watch this for a second. And you know, he was going in and he was doing this pretty consistent. He was diving in on his own, checking cars. We were just doing like a parking lot search where we weren't detailing everything. And then he pulled in, and this is where he started heading downwind and kind of ignoring going in. And that maroon colored Jeep that he just went by, that's where the odor source is. And the source is a get sent tube in the seam of the cargo hatch. So you can see him kind of chase it down, and he hits a point, and then he'll spin back around and then start working back into the wind. And we get interrupted by
What's
one
that?
of the rental car people asking if we needed
No,
help.
I already got the hide set. We're just doing a quick one today. So appreciate it though. Come on.
Dante
On the
thought
boom.
he needed to go check
On the
out
boom.
him, and he did good. And so we went back to searching. You know, he again continued to work into that wind, starting to detail. I think he was getting fragments of odor, and you know maybe not enough to really identify. And as he continued, and you notice he's checking out those wheel
Look at that wind,
wells,
aren't you, bud?
and that's where the
On the
odor
boom.
will basically start to pull up. And then he starts heading back in further towards the source. And again, checking low, he's detailing good, wanting to find that source. Then he goes past it and starts showing a negative. And he's checking, he's being good, he's checking, he's wanting to find that source. But what's interesting is each time he goes by the source, his nose was below it by 6 to 8 inches. And you'll see that when he actually indicates on it. But then he goes downwind, he catches it, works back up, goes in. So he knows he's close, and he starts working this area fairly well. And checking underneath. He's used to, you know, doing underneath hides. But again, his nose is low or lower than where the source is. And with the wind, this is the issue. This is what we keep running into. And as he's detailing that, you know, I'll start encouraging him and you know, making sure he doesn't get demotivated by not coming to source. But for the most part, I just let him search and work it out. I didn't want to get in there, and even there, he was upwind, so his nose is at elevation, but he was upwind of the source, and that's why he didn't get it then. Is he was upwind, and now he's checking out that wheel well there. There is odor in there, and particularly on this bumper and this license plate of the white car, he keeps wanting to go to that, and you'll see why when we look at the model and seeing how this behaves. Continually going down to that downwind, checking those pockets, trying to work back into it. Again, each time his head went high enough to actually get it, he was upwind of the source. Except when he got down to this car, then his head would go high enough to get it, but he was on that car and he couldn't localize the source. Well, because it wasn't there, it was upwind. He's working good. And again, kind of paused for a second there. I wasn't sure if he was gonna try to indicate, even though he was on the other side of the hatchback from where the source is. But I'm glad he didn't. I'm actually glad he broke free and started working the source. He's checking again. That wheel well directly downwind is an area that it will catch that odor. It will pull up in there. Check slow. You can decide to crawl underneath just to double check that. Always fun for a big dog to do that. Detailing really well, checking the seams. And then his nose gets high enough, and boom, he's on it. And that's what I mean. You saw in that earlier video.
All right. Oh boy.
And so in that earlier video, you could see he was near the source many times, but it took getting at that level close to it for him to detect it. So now let's take a look at the model. And this is a 5-minute model. It's sped up. And it's basically, I tried to mimic the conditions as best I can. You can see how that odor pulled down to that adjacent vehicle. Okay. And if you notice, where it's basically pulling up and where it's staying concentrated is where Dante was showing the most interest, along that driver's side rear door and panel, the wheel well, and that bumper, and that hatchback and the license plate area. That's where he's focused. And even going down to that Jeep on the far right, if you notice, he kept chasing the odor down to that end, and that's because odor was going down that far. Okay, so the model correlated and corroborated what we were seeing in the training video. And I just wanted to take some still shots here to see. So the source is right here, and he's walking up, and he's staying low. His nose stayed low, and it was staying low the whole time. So here's where the source is. That get sent tube was just stuffed in the seam. And he kept searching low, but then he would be high down here. Well, the model showed that's where the odor was predominantly at. And then when his nose was at the source, each time he did it, it was upwind of where it was at. Okay, and so it may have been at the same level, but it was upwind, and that's why he wasn't able to localize it until literally he was almost right on it. And that's just because get sent tubes don't put out a lot of odor anyways, and this is one of the lower threshold odor sources in terms of his target odors. And then this is just just to show that final indication. Again, the wind's coming from this direction. You see him coming around. He had just checked that. He's going to start coming over here, and boom, he's on it. Okay. So just again, just a quick clip, just figured I'd show some of my own training and then correlating that with the wind and how the odor's moving. But really just that light wind, the angle, and how it was being carried around the vehicles and staying at a high elevation relative to the dog's nose, that unless he gets his nose up to that elevation and in proximity to the source, downwind of it, he's going to have a hard time localizing it. But as you saw, he worked it out. And just something to kind of keep in mind as you're out doing your searching, and maybe you have to do vehicles, to always kind of keep in mind, what's the wind doing and what is my dog telling me? I hope this was helpful. And if you got any questions, feel free to email me. I'll try to include these every now and then. I record all of my training sessions, and every once in a while I'll have something. This one just happened to be one where the video is good. It was easy to replicate in the model, and that's why I did this quick clip. So hope you enjoyed, and hope you can learn from it. Have yourself a great rest of the day.